Salutations everyone, welcome to another Overwatch video where today we're talking about teamwork and six stacking. So this is what it is like to be in a six stack. I don't know if everybody has been able to experience such a lovely thing being in a six stack. Obviously it takes much longer for matchmaking to find a team to go with you. I was just solo queuing as usual in this video. And then I ran into a 5-stack, and we kicked some ass, and they said, hey, why don't you play with us? So I was like, yeah. So we played, 4 more games, and we won 3, and we lost 1, and we had a good time. And, it's one simple change. It's one simple change. We all could have been solo queue, or we could have been 3 duo queues, or something like that. But the people that want to communicate, the people that try to communicate, those are the people that are, trying to win. The people that are filling the healer role or the tank role, which we know is very, very uncommon in this game. Those are the types of people that you want to play with because they want to win. And if everyone wants to win, and actually wants to win. I know if you're playing competitive mode, those are supposed to all be people who want to win. But we've all experienced, Symmetras on attack and people throwing and people be like, oh, my Genji is amazing, and he gets 2 kills throughout the whole game and really, just pretty much just feeding the enemy team. So we've all experienced that. But if you're playing with a bunch of people and they're all communicating, you're all calling out your shots, you have a team comp that resembles something that can work, then you can have a really good time because you're most likely going to be winning a lot more than you are losing. Now, you are going to be going up against other 5 and 6 stacks, so you're going to be going up most likely a higher chance at the very least against other people that really want to win. But you're going to have a much better time losing as well because they're going to be closer games, more competitive games. And you most likely aren't going to have those throwers on your team. Now, I wouldn't, recommend just teaming up with just anybody that'll have you, but I would at least start giving it a shot if you have not already. Just the communication can make obviously a huge, huge difference in the game. Just the ability to make callouts and having teammates that will utilize that information, that reconnaissance properly, can just make all the difference in the world in taking a team fight, in getting the win as opposed to a loss. And I know that callouts might seem a little bit heavy to get into in many other games, but callouts in Overwatch are actually super duper simple compared to pretty much any other game because it's an objective based game. Your callouts are going to be very limited. They're going to be on cart, they're going to be on point in this corner or that corner. They're going to be on the left side mega health, the right side mega or the mini, or wherever you are. They're on the high grounds, they're on the bridge, they're on the shuttle. The callouts aren't very difficult in Overwatch. So don't get too intimidated about trying to play in a more professional manner, because it works and it's a ton of fun. These randoms that I were playing with, this 5-stack that I was playing with, were really impressed about my discords and like, my god, this guy's discords are amazing. And we had tanks that were playing properly in their position to where our healers could keep them alive. And if our healers are keeping our tanks alive, then that means our DPSs can go to work. They can get their flanks, they can get their long shots, depending on what character they're choosing. So there are definitely a lot of characters that you can't even get close to maximizing their potential unless you have some teamwork. And Zenyatta getting those discords doesn't call for a call out because your teammates however are going to be able to see what enemy is discorded, but you can still call it out. Maybe they don't see it, maybe it's on the high ground or someone who's flanking behind them, so they're not necessarily paying attention. But if you just easily channel this other character down that's discorded, that's an easy elimination, and your team could possibly snowball the team fight from there. So there are, if you manage to get a Winston always bubbled as he's diving in, or a healer that's healing him as he lands, or enable him to jump away, then you can really utilize the maximum potential of a Winston. Or you know, all those pesky snipers. There are so many opportunities to take out snipers in this game, or, you know, maybe, you know, just a soldier or a McCree on the high ground, where your teammates are just completely ignoring them, where it's just like, I mean, you know, let's say, oh, I'm Mercy. There's nothing that I can do to take out this Widow or whatever on this high ground. You call out to your D.Va while you know your D.Va should be taking out these people. If you just make the call out, then they'll maybe feel the responsibility a lot more to go up and take that person on the high ground, because D.Va's the best equipped to do that in many situations. Or Winston jumping up, you know, or, you know, maybe a Pharah flies up there, you know, somebody who has, you know, the ability to get to the high ground very quickly and neutralize a threat which otherwise would just be wreaking havoc unabated. And you see that a lot in matchmaking and solo queue, where you just have a Pharah or a Hanzo that is just going completely uncontested in their position, and the game is just completely lost from there, because, you know, the Widow's getting pickoffs, or the Pharah is just raining havoc from above with, you know, a lot of justice, and things are just unwinnable from that situation. But if you can get just a little bit of coordination, I'm not talking, you know, Masters level, you don't have to be Envious, you don't have to be, you know, Taimu or Jaehong or anything like that. Just a little bit of teamwork goes a long way. And, you know, I would say that, like, if there is communication going on, you know, there's always going to be the threat of quote-unquote toxicity, which is a word that's thrown around a lot nowadays throughout any video game with any sort of peer-to-peer communication. But I would say if you are, let's say, 6-stacking, the chances of toxicity, I would say, are a bit lower. Now, you may have, you know, groups of people who know each other that are yelling at each other because, you know, they're friends and they can kind of get away with that. But for the most part, if you can get the right team composition, you're not going to be able, and, you know, the healers know their role, the tanks know how they should be played, and the DPSs are actually getting kills, which I know is very rare. Usually you have a team that has, you know, 3 or 4 DPS players, you have all this damage and nobody's dying because they aren't actually very good at using DPS characters. But if you're 6-stacking, especially with some people that, you know how to play with each other, chances are the coordination is going to be there to be able to facilitate these frags that otherwise would take much longer. Or, you know, people that know how to play on certain characters and play the Overwatch, the game, the way that it should be played, with tanks and healers and DPSs all on the same team, harmoniously working together and stopping an enemy team, even another 5 or 6 stack, from even getting anywhere near the payload. Those are the types of things that can really only happen when you have that communication going and people playing the roles to the best of their ability. Like I've said before, I have no problem playing healer or tank. I could be on D.Va or Orisa every game, or Zen and Ana on every game, and not really care all that much as long as we're winning, because, you know, winning's kind of the point of competitive. And if you're winning, you're probably having fun. I know there are some people that seem to be salty no matter what happens, but it's much better than having those people that are just super happy about having 3 golds, even though you're getting trounced in the actual game. I would much rather have people that can get a little bit testy, as long as, you know, the end goal for everybody is winning the game. And, you know, that can be difficult to come by. So it is definitely a different beast having any sort of communication or playing with you know, a 3-stack or a 4-stack or a 5-stack if you are not accustomed to doing that. Now, just playing with one other person and a bunch of randoms that are communicating, you can get a very similar effect, but they're just the kind of synergies that you can get with a, you know, a big team that are used to playing with each other, that are used to going with certain combinations. You know, okay, we're on this map, that means this guy goes Reaper, that means I go Zarya, that means this person, you know, goes Zen or whatever. So you all are kind of accustomed to a certain strategy, certain patterns, certain ultimates, combos, and things like that, to really facilitate continual growth as a team, applying pressure to the enemy on the objective, and, you know, not trickle in, always grouping up, using your ultimates to the best of their ability, you know, if you're playing by yourself, it's really hard to get the best out of a Graviton because maybe that Hanzo on your team isn't communicating, or maybe they aren't hearing you, or you know, the Genji getting the Nano Blade going on. Just the ability to have somebody to properly nano time and time again, whether it's a McCree High Nooning or a Nano Blade or Nano Sights or anything that you can, you know, group up with, you know, effectively. Just having that as an Ana player, let me tell you, can make a huge difference in making your ult super useful as opposed to completely useless, because nanos can be super useless if you aren't getting ult combos and if you aren't getting any sort of communication to where, oh, I know my Genji is about to slash into the air, so I can properly nano him and he can slash down and start going to work. Or you have a Sombra on your team and they can call out, you know, this person has an ultimate, Zen get ready to Transcendence, or Lucio get ready to drop the beat. You know, having defensive ultimates, you know, can definitely help with teamwork as well, as much as, you know, pretty much anything else in the game. Focus firing, punishing people that are too far extending out of their spawn, or we can easily just rush down with, you know, D.Va or Lucio and Winston, or, you know, a Tracer blinking in, just finishing somebody off that, you know, maybe she was shooting somebody else in the head, you know, just a moment ago, and all of a sudden you're winning team fights before they happen. You are getting ultimate combos, you are getting team kills, you are protecting your healers, you're actually getting some sort of peeling. Oh, you know, I'm Mercy and I'm getting hit, you know, Zarya, come save me. You know, that's something that you really don't get a lot in solo queue. Even though some of that play should be instinctual, you might not be getting that if they're not used to playing their character or their role properly, and you can get some 3-0 shutouts even against other 5 and 6 stacks, and it's a good, fun time. So, you know, even if you aren't getting gold limbs or playing the character that you would most likely want to play or have the most fun playing, if you're in competitive, your only goal should be winning, and it shouldn't matter how you get there, obviously, as long as you're not cheating or anything like that, any sort of cheese strats or some sort of, you know, SR manipulation that a lot of people love doing, even some big people, you know, on Twitch and stuff. As long as you're winning and you're doing it properly, it shouldn't matter how you get there. And teamwork really does make the dream work. Whether you're just 3 or 4 people communicating, you can even greater increase those chances if it's 5 or 6 people, and even more so if those people are used to playing with each other and know that their role is what it is and play properly. So six stacking is fun, you know, it does have its ups and downs, but teamwork, more wins, more fun.